So, I hear a lot of people doing nothing but complaining about the fact that Cyber Dragon Infinity is coming out in the TCG in Breakers of Shadow. I've been hearing a lot of things over the past couple of days of how degenerate the card is, how unhealthy it is for the game, how this card should have never been printed or whatever. This card is just ridiculously overpowered in what it's supposed to be trying to do, and that it should honestly not have any business coming to any side of the TCG. But it is, and I think a lot of you are overreacting. I think a lot of the people that are saying these things are very, very biased in their opinion of what they think the card is going to do, and they think that the card is going to absolutely destroy the metagame and destroy the game as we know it. Now, I'm going to go off the beaten path and explain why I do not think that is the case. I do not think Cyber Dragon Infinity is nearly as big of a problem as you are all making it out to be in your heads. The people that, obviously, I'm saying you all in terms of the people that are losing their shit right now because they don't want to deal with Cyber Dragon Infinity. But these were also the same people that did not want to deal with Nodin before that came out, or I guess I should call it Norden, because that is its actual name at this point. But these people will always exist, and these people will always be unhappy with whatever is getting imported or whatever is coming out, because they feel like it's ruining the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! No, it's really not. And I'm going to explain why I believe that it's not the case where, oh my god, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is over, Cyber Dragon... No, it's not over. In fact, I think Cyber Dragon Infinity is very healthy for the game to be coming out at this point in time. It's an additional card that literally every deck that can access a rank 4 using 3 materials can have accessibility into through Tellarknight Ptolemaeus. Now, whether or not anything will happen to that on the ban list before we get Infinity, that's yet to be seen, but honestly, at this point in time, I don't think there's a need for that to happen currently. To, the same regard that I don't think there's any need for Instant Fusion to go to 1 in the immediate future, because Nodin is very much a splashable card in any deck that can use a rank 4 engine or can abuse, what Nodin could do. If it's generic support that can be used by everything, I believe it should be untouched. That's my opinion on this. And Cyber Dragon Infinity falls into that category. Now, while it is definitely a very powerful card, I'm definitely not going to dispute that. Cyber Dragon Infinity is absolutely... it's insane, especially in simplified game states. Like, you can just outright lose to this card if you're down to 1 or 2 cards, and then your opponent pops an Infinity on the board. And at that point, you may or may not have 100% lost that game. But that's the thing. If you just make Infinity first turn and your opponent still has 6 cards that they can work with, you're not going to have that much success unless you have something to back up the Infinity. There's a lot of different variants that goes into this. So it's definitely not going to absolutely destroy the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! That we're currently playing. It's definitely going to make a lot of games more clear-cut. That's definitely something, but that's actually something that I think is also a benefit, because at the current point in time, our games of Yu-Gi-Oh! Last really long. At YCS Dallas, there were 40-minute timed rounds, and every single round went into time at least 35 minutes. Like, that's ridiculous. There's no reason every round should be lasting an hour and 30 minutes, other than the fact that the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! At this point has sped up so much and become more complicated as such, causing the technical play to have to actually be more well thought out, taking up more time. The faster the game seems to get, the more time it actually ends up taking to think out those moves. And Cyber Dragon Infinity kind of helps alleviate this in the fact that it will lock out games a lot quicker, and I think that is a benefit in the aspect of the competitive environment will benefit from Cyber Dragon Infinity in that regard, because games will be ending potentially quicker due to the card's existence. But other than that, any deck that can put 3 level 4s on the board and have room in the extra deck for Ptolemaeus can access this card. So that means not only do the new decks get it, the old decks as well get it. And that's what I meant by generic support probably should not be touched, because yes, it's benefiting the best deck, but it's also benefiting this little tier 3, tier 4 deck that just wants to play and have fun. That gives the deck another boss monster it can access. Now, it's also just... it's very strange how Cyber Dragon Infinity is such a powerful card, but we have to dedicate so much space to it. And that's another thing that I believe makes Cyber Dragon Infinity overall a very healthy card, If your deck cannot summon Infinity the recommended way, which is to have 2 level 5 machines on board, overlay in a Nova, and then overlay an Infinity on top of it, you have to dedicate 3 to 4 extra deck spots to just summoning Infinity. You have to have the Infinity itself, the Cyber Dragon Nova to overlay on top of, then you have to have Tolmaeus to put 3/4s into, and then make the Cyber Dragon Nova with. And then, if you want to get full value out of the Tolmaeus and account for variance and stuff like that, you have to run a Diamond to put on top of Tolmaeus in the matchups where it is necessary. So that is 3 to 4 cards. That is, assuming you play the full 4 cards I mentioned, that is over a quarter of your extra deck. Your extra deck is only 15 cards. That's a problem in of itself that a lot of decks are not going to be able to adapt to. If you were to ask me right now what 4 cards I would take out of a Necros extra deck to put those 4 cards back in, because I'm not running Tolmaeus or Diamond at this current point because they're extremely subpar right now, in my own personal opinion, I could not tell you what 4 cards I would take out, because I consider every single card in that extra deck to be damn near mandatory, minus like maybe 1 or 2 cards. If you look at a Shaddoll extra deck, Jesus Christ, like, people are citing extra deck cards in Shaddolls because of how tight that extra deck is. Like, you're going to have to make room for these cards, and people don't seem to want to take that into account in the fact that the best decks of the format right now don't really have the room to throw a Cyber Dragon Infinity into the mix, whereas a lot of the lower tier decks, they have a much more flexible extra deck, thus being able to utilize Cyber Dragon Infinity a little bit better. That's another just personal reason I want to give towards this. But, like I said, Tolmaeus may end up getting banned. It's currently banned in the OCG, so we could follow suit and have Tolmaeus banned. Honestly, I don't think it's needed, because if anything, all you're doing is alleviating a bit of the problem, but then you're giving that problem more access in the other decks that can actually summon Cyber Dragon Nova, like the coming Dynomist deck. Like, if you wanted to, you could play Cyber Dragon Turbo and just do nothing but Turbo out Infinities, and that's scary enough in itself. Like, the fact that it can put 1 to 2 Infinities on the board every turn is absolutely ridiculous, but that's not a fault of the card design of Infinity. That's a fault of the deck that's able to use it, but it's meant to be used in that deck. Of course it's going to be abusable in that, but I digress. That's absolutely not what I wanted to get into with this video, is talking about pure Cyber Dragon deck theory. Definitely not. But I personally just think Cyber Dragon Infinity is having quite a bit of, like, overreaction hype to it, considering that it as a card has the potential to rocket a few decks ahead of the rest of them and cause a little bit more of a generic shift in the metagame, which is something that we've been looking for since literally February of 2015. This format has been dominated by BA, Klee, and Necros ever since, and the only new addition we've gotten to that has been a Cosmo deck here or there, and like Infernoids, I guess, but like the metagame has been very stale for the past 6 to 7 months, no matter how many ban lists we get, and we have no current posted date for our next ban list. So at this point, new releases are more reliable ways to gauge how the metagame will shift than waiting for a ban list ever could be. So honestly, Infinity coming to the TCG could eventually just cause more decks to be pushed out. Like, Burning Abyss can't access Infinity. Like, it's already been crippled a little bit by the fact that it can't abuse Instant Fusion Doden. Now, if Infinity came out, that's just another nail in the coffin towards the Burning Abyss deck. Cosmos, they can't very well access an Infinity, at least not in their current form. So that gives every other deck a way to combat all this insane support that they've been getting. Even though you can't target their cards, you can definitely just use Infinity to negate their effects and stuff like that while you're proceeding to try to go to town on them with the rest of your stuff. There's a lot of different variance factors that until we get to January that we can't really judge at this current point in time. But I think, personally, Infinity coming out is very, very healthy for the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Because it is going to influence change, and that's currently all that I want from this game. I really have no desire to continue playing this game right now because I like it to change. It's stale. It's stagnant right now. Infinity coming out in January at least gives a bit of hope at that point in time that the metagame will start to shift and we'll get out of this 14, 15-month-long grind where Shaddolls, Burning Abyss, and Stellar Knights have existed for the past literal 15 months. These decks have been out for over a year, and that's ridiculous. But, I mean, you can take this information that I'm presenting any way that you want to, really. But these are my own personal opinions, of course. I mean, you're entitled to your own. But anyway, as always, guys, thanks for watching. As always, comment, rate, subscribe, like the video if you like the content I've been producing and want to support my channel's growth now, as well as in the future. Links are in the description to both my Facebook pages. If you want to connect with me, that's going to be the most reliable way to do so. If you just want to chat me up, do whatever, you're going to find it in those links. Click on that if you have not. I'd greatly appreciate it. Helps me make money. There's no reason to lie to you guys about that. If you have an ad blocker enabled, I'd really appreciate it if you would disable your ad blocker, refresh the video, and then put your ad blocker back on. It takes a couple seconds out of your day. It takes no money out of your pocket, and it would definitely just help me out in a huge way that you would never, ever understand, and I would be greatly appreciative. And if you're looking to support me, that'd be a very fine way to do so that would take very little from you to actually do so. But if you want to let me know what your thoughts are on Cyber Dragon Infinity, either talk to me on Facebook or leave a comment down below expressing your concerns, thoughts, whatever. But that is all for this video, and as always, guys, take care.